In the age of large language models, more crypto companies are experimenting with how to introduce AI into their offering. Worldcoin has launched its first consumer product, WorldUp, which is described as one part minimalist crypto wallet and one part passport for the AI era. Joining us now to discuss is Tiago Sada, head of product at Tools for Humanity and a Worldcoin core team member. Welcome, Tiago.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being with us. Now, we got to dig into this. When we first heard about WorldCoin, it was a product built to achieve universal basic income via retina scanning orb. Users had their retinas scanned, then they would be rewarded in crypto. Tell me about how the product has evolved.
Yeah, so generally, we're still working on the same core problems, which is really how does the world change when we have really advanced artificial intelligence that just changes the way the world works, right? And you can imagine there's questions like, how do you decentralize governance of those systems? How do you fairly distribute the value that they generate, which is something like UBI? And then just when you don't know, when everything can be faked, right? How do you know what is 20,000 people or 20,000 bots? And so at the core of all of those problems, there's two things. There's the notion of personhood, and there's just digital money, right? And if you're able to solve those two problems, then we think we have all of the tools to make the best out of a world with advanced AI.
Did you see much traction in the version of WorldCoin without AI?
Well, I think for sure it's been a lot easier to explain the project now that people actually see that AI is coming a lot faster than many expected, right? WorldCoin was started as a project about 4 years ago with this goal in mind. And while everything that we're building is also useful today, for example, WorldUp, the wallet you just mentioned, right? We have over 500,000 people using it every month, over 100,000 people using it every day today. It is still clear to just be able to talk about it in the context of what is coming up and how the world is changing.
So let's just talk about this retina scanning thing for a second, because obviously it's been hugely controversial. I think specifically because it's in the crypto world and people tend to have strong feelings about privacy. And it's like, why would anybody want to give such personal, private, valuable data to a private company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually have, this is the orb. This is the device you're mentioning. And I agree with you. We are privacy maxis here. I think people are always surprised when they start diving into the system. Generally, there's two levels of protection. All computation happens on the orb locally. And then on top of that, we have built a protocol called WorldID that uses zero-knowledge proofs to completely detach the users from their identity. And so it's actually really cool when we start actually talking people through the project. They realize that this is much more private than anything that is out there. And so, for example, WorldUp, the new wallet that we announced yesterday, doesn't even require any personal information, right? And that is just unheard of on consumer products out there.
Right, but where does the whole retina scan part fit into it? Because that's pretty personal information, I would say.
Yeah, so the orb comes into being able to issue people a proof of personhood. And so the reason that is important is because we think that humans should have a first row seat to everything that will happen over the coming years, right? In the internet, you want it to be humans first, not bots first. And so when you start looking at different ways for people to verify themselves in a way that's private, that is inclusive, that is fraud resistant, you really cannot do something like KYC, which more than half of the population doesn't have a document to verify. Something like email or phone verification also doesn't work. And so if you want to be able to give this privileged position on the internet to humans and recognize the rights that they should have for just being people, biometrics is the best way to go about it. Our company, Tools for Humanity, has developed this device called the Orb, but we expect that many others will develop other devices for the protocol. And now, just as we have built the Orb, we've also built WorldUp, right? Which the idea with WorldUp is to essentially make all of these primitives, both the ones that the WorldCoin ecosystem has built, but also a lot of the ones that the crypto ecosystem has been working for 10 plus years at this point, and just make them really simple and really useful for people today, so that we can actually start getting some of the benefits that all of these primitives promise.
You mentioned inclusivity there, and there was some negative press coverage and allegations about exploitative and deceptive recruiting practices. Do you have a response for that?
Yeah, I think generally we just think that crypto should be for all, and so we're making sure that crypto works for all.
How involved is Sam Altman? So obviously Sam Altman is known for OpenAI, but also is behind this project, WorldCoin. How involved is he now, just in the rollout of this?
Yeah, so Sam is a co-founder of Tools for Humanity, the company where I work at, and it's been really good to have Sam there to work along.
But I'm just curious, obviously he's quite busy, right? Sort of like doing the whole AI thing. How involved is he in this specific project? It's a little bit unclear. In the past he was heavily associated with it. Now it's sort of unclear to me just like what his role is. Is he actually involved in decision making or management, or just kind of in the background, or how involved is he in WorldCoin?
Yeah, so Sam, as a co-founder, is part of the leadership of Tools for Humanity. He actually is the one that helped come up with the idea of WorldCoin in the first place in the founding days. And so he's been a very instrumental person to the project. But nowadays we have Tools for Humanity and a bunch of other teams around the world, a lot of people that are also just contributing, right? This is a decentralized project, and you have people like myself around the world just contributing to the project and the different parts of it. So whether it's the World ID protocol or this really powerful wallet that is now the fastest growing wallet in the world, and many of the other parts of the ecosystem. And so you have a bunch of people contributing, just like in any decentralized project.
I brought up the intersection between crypto and AI in my introduction. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you think these two very emerging, very popular technologies now are going to work together moving forward.
Yeah, well, I think that crypto is exactly what we need in a world with AI, right? It has two things. First of all, it lets us digitalize things, right? And clearly a world with AI will be a world where everything has to be digital, right? And then on the other hand, it also introduces trust, right? Or trustlessness, where we are able to know what is real and what is not, who did what and when. And the really cool thing is that through math, you can do all of those things, but in private ways, right? And so I think it will be very, very important, this marriage of artificial intelligence with crypto, to be able to just keep things going and make the most out of AI systems.
Tiago, thank you very much for joining us this morning. That was Tiago Sada, Tools for Humanity, Head of Product and WorldCoin Core Team member.